Hey, what's going on, everybody? Monty here. Today's video, I just wanted to go over the BIOS update I got to do for my motherboard, and there's probably a lot of BIOS updates right now for a lot of the Z490 boards as well. I have an ASUS ROG MAXIMUS XII Hero, so that's what I'll be updating today. The last version I got is probably about 2 months old. I usually try and stay on top of the BIOS updates, just because since this is a new board and since I'm overclocking, stability is kind of what I want, and every time they update these BIOSes with a new version, they show usually like Intel microcode updates, as well as like stability fixes. I went ahead and downloaded it already. You just go to their ASUS website and you just find out what it is motherboard wise you're looking for. Click on it, should be a drivers and tools, BIOS and firmware. So my BIOS is a 08 28 of 2020 is the date it came out. So a couple weeks, about 3 weeks old almost. Version 0707. I believe the one I'm using is probably a 05 or a 06, so I have to check, but that's the one that I got. And it says improve system performance, update Intel microcode, and improve AI overclocking function for new CPUs. So there you have it. The previous one, improve system performance, it says enhance AI cooling mechanism. So if you're using the auto overclocker inside the BIOS, the AI one, it looks like it adds some support for that. So I went ahead and downloaded it already. I just put it on my desktop is pretty much all I do. So I'll just go ahead and restart. And now whenever I do this, what sucks is I'm going to have to redo all of my settings. But good news is you guys will be able to see all the settings, everything that I do on a new BIOS. So we'll go ahead and start it up. All right, we are now in the BIOS, guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk through a couple things with you guys. Anybody that's new to like being in the BIOS, it's not really that scary. It's actually really really easy to figure out what you're doing. So this is just showing me like all the versions that my BIOS is, and so on and so forth, system languages, time, that kind of thing. So at the very, very top, it says BIOS version right here. I have 0704x64. The version I just downloaded, I think, is a newer 08, I believe. So I'll go ahead and install that, and yeah, I'll show you guys what to do. So 0704 is the BIOS that I'm on, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way over. I definitely want to keep track of my settings too. So sync all cores 2, negative AVX offset 2, DRAM frequency 3600, DRAM timing control. Make sure the 1616 36 2N. For whatever reason, I run one end and it always locks the computer up. Cache ratio 4749. 1.35 is what it shows, but I have 1.37 selected. 135 on the DRAM, CC VCIO voltage 1.2, system age 1.2 also. I don't think that I really got a whole lot else, so we're going to go all the way over to Tool. Okay. Easy Flash Utility. Click Enter. And now it's going to be in the corresponding drive, right? So I got to go to figure out what the directory is. So I'm going to go to this. We'll go all the way to users, home. That's my user account. I'll go to desktop. Desktop, I have 0707 is what it shows. Interesting. Okay, duh. So I had a dirt moment just now, actually. So I just downloaded 0707. I already forgot. I have 0704. Okay, so I need to update. First, I thought I was like, wait a second. I know that there was an update to it. Okay, so go back. All right. I want to read the file, yes? Do I really want to read it? This is from 0707, from July 21st, 2021. It's interesting how they always release the BIOSes after the date, so we're like 2 months out past it, but sure, why not? We're going to read that. It's going to process. You do not want to unplug the computer right now. You're going to have problems if you do that. Don't touch anything. Just let it sit. Let it do its thing. I have a UPS that the computer's plugged into, so cross fingers, we don't have any kind of issues electrically in the house, but if we do, I have a UPS. So that would help with that. And plus, I kind of like it because it kind of smooths everything out, right? So yeah. So we'll go ahead and let this run, guys, and it usually takes a minute or two. Once that BIOS is done, then it'll take about another minute, a black screen, and then it'll finally say pop up and say, you have entered in a new CPU, press F1 to enter setup. So I will show you guys all that. It looks like we're still updating. Once this is done, like I said, guys, it'll take us back to a black screen where we'll be able to press F1 and it'll enter into the BIOS, and we'll be able to configure all the settings as well. And I'll kind of just go over real briefly the settings that I'm using, that I use for my system. Update successfully, system will be reset. Computer just shut off, as you can see. Turn back on. Turned off again. And it does this a couple times. On my system, at least that I know of, it'll eventually boot and it'll just keep black screening, right? And then eventually I can get the BIOS updated. Let's see. Okay. Tap delete. Okay, here's our message that we're looking for. Please enter setup to recover BIOS setting. F1 for Intel default CPU stock power limits. F3 to unlock. I'll just hit F3. Doesn't really matter because I'm changing all the settings anyways. So I just hit F3 to unlock all the power settings. Okay, 0707 X64. This part of it's not sped up. So this is real time. It took about 2 minutes or so to update that BIOS. So 32 gigs RAM, 10900K. It's all showing right. All right, so I'm going to go over. All my settings are reset, guys. I'm going to have to redo all of this, but you guys are going to be here with me to do it. So, all right, so AI, I go to manual. For auto overclock tuner, I go to manual. If I do XMP, for whatever reason, this board does not like the RAM. The RAM's on the QVL, but for whatever reason, it does not work. I don't know why. XMP2 doesn't work either. Manual works. Manual, no blue screens. Okay. Let's see here. I don't have multi-core enhancement. That's on disabled. Okay, SVID behavior. That's on auto. Negative AVX is 2. Core ratio, sync all cores. All core ratio limit, 52. That's going to be 5.2 gigahertz. DRAM frequency, I'm going to go all the way to 3600 megahertz, which is what my RAM is. Okay. Timing control. We are 16, 16, 36. I'm at 2N. Okay. Load line calibration, I'm at number 4. Okay. All of this I just leave on auto. CPU power management, I just max this out for core cache limit max. Same. Alright, so short duration power package limit max, time window max, long duration max. Core cache limit max as well. I'm done with this one. Okay, let's go to the next one. AI features. No, I don't have anything in there. 47, remember. 49. Core voltage 1.37. Whoop. Okay, DRAM 1.35, right? VCCIO, we're going to set 1.2. Oh, let's go back. System agent is 1.2. Remember that? Okay. Now this is just strictly for what my setup, guys. What you guys have settings wise might be a little bit different motherboards, if you have a different processor. But this is the settings that I use to get 5.2 gigahertz on all cores. And then I have an AVX of -2. As you can see here, my SP is at 87 as well. It shows coolers at 160 also. All right, so 1.2 for system agent, 1.2 for VCCIO, DRAM is 1.35, core voltage override at manual mode for CPU is 1.37, cache ratio 47, 49 max, CPU power management. I have all of these settings right here maxed out. Okay. And DigiVRM, I have load line calibration at 4. Okay, that's what it says recommended for my overclock is 4. I didn't touch anything else in that tab. DRAM, my RAM is rated at 16, 16, 36. For whatever reason, it's showing 15. I do have BDI RAM. I don't think that I'd necessarily be able to drop my CL down to 15 and stay at my complete settings, but I mean, shoot, the way it's looking, I might give that a shot. That might be a next video thing. Okay, so SVID support auto, DRAM frequency 3200, 36, yeah, 3600 megahertz for that. 52 for all core. AVX negative is 2. Okay, so multi-core enhancements, that's disabled. And I am an AI overclock tuner that is set to manual. So I got all my settings set manually. I'm just going to go through a couple things here in all these tabs, and you guys can just watch along. Okay, let's see, hyper-threading's on. That all looks good. Power management, here we go. Let's turn off the C states. I want as much performance as possible. Turbo mode, you know, I could turn that off. I'm not really using it, but, you know, screw it, I'll just leave it on. I'm not seeing any downsides to having that. That all seems fine. Okay, that's on auto, that's okay. Storage, AHCI, that's fine. I don't use anything on SATA-wise, or SATA, however you want to pronounce it, so I don't have any spinning disk anymore in my computer. Thunderbolt support, I don't have a Thunderbolt card in here. USB is fine, USB is fine, NVMe, that's okay. Onboard devices, I have HD audio I'm using. I'm not using the 5G Ethernet port. I'm not using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, so I definitely turn all of those off. Okay, LED lighting, I just leave that on, that's fine. Okay. Monitor, I just leave that, I ignore that. You guys are able to see right here, temperature is at 30 Celsius on the CPU. Okay, so QFan configuration, I just go in here, I turn everything off. It's because I'm just using, all I'm using is the NZXT, so I don't need any of this on. I did used to have all this on before. I have probably 10 Noctua fans, right? The 120s and 140s. All 4-pin PWM fans. So I did have all of those. I did have all of this set up before, which it worked. It wasn't bad at all. But I just like everything like in one program with the NZXT. That's really nice. So cancel. I don't want to do that. QFan disabled. Yes, everything is disabled in here, guys. If you guys are curious, like my pump and all that stuff is plugged in the corrective, the correct header on the motherboard for the fan. So the pump, I believe, is plugged into the CPU fan, is what this is plugged into. There's a cable that comes from this NZXT Kraken, and it goes has 2 wires inside of it, but it's a 3-pin fan connector or 4-pin, one of the two. It plugs in the CPU connector, so that's what I have plugged in. So that's why I don't get CPU fan errors on that pop up. But I have everything else disabled right here, so everything has just ran through the NZXT way. The NZXT fans plug into the NZXT controller on it. So, all right, done with monitor. Secure boot, not worry about that boot configuration. I just leave all this really basic. Just leave it all the same. I don't touch it. Tool, I don't have to really do anything. I can go right here. Okay, where's my profile at? I'm going to save a profile. I'm going to say stable because I know it's stable. I'm going to save it to profile 1, so that saves all my settings. I should just do the load save profile to USB drive, but whenever they come out with BIOS, new BIOS revisions, like updates, right? They might change certain settings. certain settings might not work correctly. So if I was to change it, I might have problems like restoring those settings. So I don't want to necessarily do that per se. But if I'm just messing around on the same BIOS, I'm okay with just saving a profile. It's because I can just restore it and I don't have to mess with all these settings again. It's save changes reset. It's going to say, do I want to change all of this stuff? And I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. Go really slow if you guys want to see it all. Okay, like I said, this is strictly for my ASUS Maximus XII Hero. It's probably the same as the ASUS Maximus in ASUS Strix motherboards that are all Z490. And a lot of this will probably apply to Gigabyte, MSI, other motherboards as well, but I'm just strictly going off the ASUS motherboard. So you guys might have different settings and whatnot. They might call it different things as well. So just check around on YouTube, check around on Google, and more or less just see what works for you. So I'm going to hit OK. Now it's going to reboot a couple times, and then I should be back into Windows. I'll run a quick Cinebench just to see. Should all be the same. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I never really have a fear of the computer shutting off. I mean, if it shuts off, it is what it is. I think I have a BIOS flashback. There's a button maybe on the back of that motherboard I can press maybe it's like a dual BIOS. I haven't read a whole lot into it, usually because I never really have any problems with it. If I don't have problems with it, I'm not going to read into it. If I start having problems, I usually start researching the heck out of it, just trying to figure it out. But currently, I'm not having any problems. So as you guys see, the computer is in like the limbo state. It'll stay like this for a minute, and then it'll eventually reboot, and then I should be back into Windows. I know some people would probably be they get really scared the fear of the computer not turning back on. But yeah, no, turned on. Let's see, mouse is on now. There we go. And also too, I've noticed like the more you update the BIOS, right? Because there's probably like 4 revisions since I've gotten this motherboard, 4 updates rather. So I've noticed like the stability has gotten better with each and every one. Now I might have to update certain settings, right, to get things working how I want. You guys might not be able to see it. It might look a little bit blown out to you, but 2% CPU usage, 3 gigs of RAM that I'm using, 3.5 gigs. We'll load up hardware info, CPU, Z as well. I'm at 5.2 gigahertz. It's a little bit small on the screen. Okay, so I'm at 5.2, right? Scroll down, I can see my temperatures, right? So there's my temperatures right here. Right, let's load up Cinebench R20, by the way. I'm set on performance, by the way, guys. So anybody's curious, NZXT is set on performance, so that's what it's set up as. Fan on the CPU, I just have it in a certain fan curve, but 40 degrees or above, it's going to be 50% fan speed plus. So nothing really changed, really didn't drastically from performance, by the way. So yeah, I got Cinebench right here. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and run it. And we're going to see what we get as far as temps go. You guys could see all that right there. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit run. I'm sitting at 32 idle, by the way. The room is probably 72 Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit right now. Okay, so that's probably what the room's set at. All right. I'm going to hit run. $64, $65, $66. You can hear it ramp up, I'm sure. $63, $65, $66, $64. And if I come over here, utilization, let's see. Thermal throttling, no. Power limit exceeded, no. CPU package, max. 69C. Okay. All right, so 5.2 gigahertz. It's showing a max of 1.315 volts. I don't think that this is accurate inside of hardware info as far as the voltage is concerned. It could be. I just don't think it is, considering I set a manual voltage inside the BIOS. But you can see here usage. Let me pull this up to you guys. You can see here usage 100% on all cores, right? 100%, 5.2. Max temperature 66, 64, 69. So you can see all of these right here. These are my numbers. I'm not making any of this up. This is exactly my setup, right? So all in the mid to high 60s, essentially. For that, thermal throttling, no. Power limit exceeded, no. Yeah, so that's kind of what it's showing. CPU package power is about 200 watts. I can go down here. So really doesn't really get that hot. My 970 Evo Plus, 40 degrees Celsius. My 2 terabyte inland SSD, 31. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, doesn't really, like I said, it doesn't really get hot. Here's my UPS load just now running that, 429 watts. So it does pull some wattage. And I got 0 Windows hardware errors as well, so that's good. Yeah, I mean, it's working fine. I got 6280 points. I did get more points. I think I got 6500, but I think I changed some settings, and I think I was at 5.3 gigahertz. So there's that. But I think I was also hitting 80 something Celsius as well. So I'm okay in the 60s, honestly. I'm back idling at 32, 33 again. I'm okay with that. Just to lose the 300 points, 300 points in Cinebench. I'm okay with that. Like that's fine. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I just updated the BIOS for you guys. I showed you guys that. And you've seen all the settings that I put in here as well. For the CPU, 5.2 gigahertz, I'm at 1.37 volts is what I have, right? And at 1.37, you see my temperatures. You've seen the temperatures on Cinebench as well. I'll link down an overclocker's guide that I kind of followed as well. It's on the ROG forums. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the setup, right? Those are the settings that I'm using for my 5.2 overclock. And the RAM's not overclocked. The RAM is just XMP essentially without using XMP. That's how I get 5.2. So it's not really that difficult to get that. In all the games, no stuttering. It all works really good. So yeah, I mean, that's me updating my BIOS to the latest on the ASUS ROG MAXIMUS XII Hero Wi-Fi board for the Z490. If you guys have any questions about it or need some help walking through it, just drop a comment down in the comment section below. I'll put my Discord name in the description as well. You can add me on Discord if you have any questions you want to chat or video chat, whatever it is. That's cool with me. I'm here to help you guys out and just kind of share what I'm figuring out as we go along. Because I like the 5.2, and I'm sure a lot of people want to get that, and a lot of people will struggle, and I understand that. So, more or less, I'm here to help out, right? So I want to show you guys just what I did to update my BIOS, right? It was really pain-free, right? Painless, no problem at all, and yeah, should get some better stability out of the computer now. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a comment down in the comment section down below if you have any questions. I'll add my Discord info inside the info box of the video as well. Definitely subscribe. I'm trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark before the end of this year, and I think I can hit it. Definitely give me a thumbs up as well if you thought this video was informative. Have any questions, leave them down below. I'm pretty quick on answering. So other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.